Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this very late session. Today we're going to show you how to build an agent network with MuleSoft Agent Fabric in a 15-minute plan. So this isn't just a quick demo or a one-off build. What we're really focused on is how to do this in a way that actually scales in an enterprise environment, connecting real systems, applying guardrails, and setting things up so teams can reuse what you build instead of starting from scratch every time. So we're going to give you a blueprint to take away. I'm Melissa Shepard. I am CTO and Managing Architect at a Salesforce partner called Maple Digital. I'm a Salesforce MVP, ACTA, a community group leader, conference organizer, MuleSoft ambassador, some other things. And then this is my partner in crime, Janine.
Thank you, partner in crime, partner in business, partner in speaking. It's great to speak here with Melissa again. I've actually been in the ecosystem upwards of 20 years now. I'm also a community group leader, a community conference organizer, recently an MVP. And if you're in the Chicago area or going to be there next month, we are having Dream In and Data, so please join us. And thank you for being here.
All right, so let's get started here. So we have a quick agenda.
So we're required to give you an agenda just in case.
Got a problem statement, the overview, some of the things.
Sorry. Did you want to read it? We'll go past it. What we are going to start with, though, is the problem that we're seeing right now everywhere is that a lot of organizations have actually started building agents or bots, but they're mostly one-offs. They solve a very specific use case, but they're really tightly coupled to just a few systems, and then they don't scale beyond that. So what this creates is what we call the agentic gap. You have innovation happening at the edges, but no consistent way to reuse capabilities. There's no centralized governance and very limited visibility into what these areas are doing. So instead of accelerating the enterprise, you end up with more fragmentation.
So, but first, what is Agent Fabric? We're going to give you a little bit of overview here. So Agent Fabric is something that allows you to build, discover, and reuse agentic assets using the anypoint exchange for discovery and reuse. So you can discover and publish and build these agents to reuse. Then you can orchestrate with the agent network and broker. So you're going to define your agent network using YAML, and then the brokers will orchestrate the tasks. And then you're going to also govern and observe at scale using A2A or MCP or both. A2A being how the brokers and clients communicate with agents, so it's the agent-to-agent communication network. And then MCP is how agents communicate with the tools. So what we'll do in 15 minutes is we'll assemble a starter network, connect real APIs, and govern by applying governance basics. And this is just the blueprint of how you would do all this.
And I'll just add that I think this is meant to be something you can kind of take back with you and work on immediately. Like, obviously, you need to have some of the right tools in place, but this isn't something that should take you very long to grasp. This should be pretty straightforward, hopefully. And the shift that we're seeing now, as you've heard, as we've mentioned, is moving just from the idea of that individual agent to the agent networks. They even talked about it in the keynote this morning, if you were there, the idea of headless, in some cases enabling agent-to-agent communication. So instead of one agent doing everything, you introduce a broker that orchestrates across multiple agents. And each of those agents is focused and specialized. They're connected to approved tools and then designed to be reusable. So this model that we're going to share with you gives you three things. Reuse of all capabilities across your teams, governance through controlled access to APIs, and visibility into how that work is being done. So that's the foundation we're going to be building on for the rest of the session. So as we said, as the shift we're seeing is moves from individual agents to did I just not click on these? I'm so sorry. I had a build. That goes with what I just said. So sorry. We'll get it together. But then this is the architecture we'll follow, basically what you just saw in the last agent. Obviously, we want to add the user on top of that. The user starts by sending a request. The broker interprets it and then decides which specialist agent to route the request to. And then the agent would call the approved API or tool, and then the response would follow back to the user. What's important here is the separation of concerns. The broker handles orchestration, Agents then handle the execution, and the APIs remain your system of record. So that separation actually enables the scaling.
So there are three principles behind everything we're about to show here. So you're going to use your YAML as your configuration as code for your agents. So you're not going to hard code the logic. You define behavior declaratively. Second is the separation of concerns, which Janine mentioned. So you get your brokers, your agents, and your APIs that all evolve independently. And then third is reuse by design. So every component we build is intended to be reused across teams and not rebuilt. So this enables scalability and reusability. So we'll break this 15-minute build into 4 phases. So there's the scaffolding of the project, there's defining the agents, there's configuring your broker, and then seeing the orchestration in action. So we'll go through all 4 of these phases.
So in phase 1, we start with scaffolding. So this is where Anypoint loading tool or Anypoint tooling gives you actually a starter project structure that gives you the key configuration files already laid out, as you can see here on the left. The important thing here isn't just speed, it's consistency. By standardizing the structure, teams don't have to make architectural decisions every time they start something new. You're essentially giving everyone the same starting point, which is critical for scale.
So you'll see that you get the agent network definition using your YAML. You get your asset metadata for exchange for the publishing. You got specialist agents also defined with YAML. You got your MCP tool servers, and then schemas and editor settings. So then in phase 2, we'll define our specialist agents. Each agent is configured using YAML, which I've mentioned. And then it's connected to a specific API that will help it do its work. So like an order management system or a CRM like Salesforce. So what matters most here is you define the inputs and outputs. So when you are connecting with an API, those need to be clearly defined. You need clean, consistent interfaces for the APIs to make these agents reusable and predictable. So you're not just connecting to any API, you're turning the API into capability that any agent in your network can then use.
So phase 3 is where our broker comes in. This is effectively the brain of the system. You register your agents, provide the model credentials, and define how delegation should happen. In other words, you're teaching the broker when to route a request to a specific agent, and then this in turn is what this turns your collection of agents into a coordinated system as opposed to just a whole bunch of agents.
So this is where the magic happens with MuleSoft. Now we're going to come into the orchestration part. So for an example, a user submits a request, like check order 552 and update the case associated to that order. The broker interprets that request, routes it to the appropriate specialist agent. The agent executes against that API that it's connected with, and then the results come back. So what's powerful here is this entire flow is modular, observable, and governed using MuleSoft Agent Fabric.
And in a more complex request, more than one specialist agent might be required, in which case MCP or even A2A protocols could be used. So here's an example. Like the last example we just talked about. So this time the user submits a request like check order 552 and update the case, and then submit a new order and ship it. The broker interprets that request, routes to the appropriate initial agent, the agent executes against the API, calls the next agent, executes that request, and eventually the result comes back. To make this work in the real world, you need governance. That's the most important thing to keep in mind. You might publish your agents and templates and so that other teams can reuse them, and then you need to track how those tools are being used. And you also have to apply guardrails like access control and validation. So the key mindset shift is this. You're treating your agent network like a product and not just a project.
So now a quick reality check. The 15-minute build is real. How are you going to start executing on this? But there are things that can definitely slow you down when you're trying to get this done, so it might be a little slower. You might have things like inconsistent API schemas, might have to deal with managing credentials and security. You might have issues there. And then just initial environment setup. So there might be some obstacles there. But this pattern should help you get going pretty quickly. So these aren't blockers, but they're just important things to think about and plan for. So if there's one thing you can take away from this session today, let it be this checklist. So Monday morning, you can start to audit your APIs, and then you can define your first broker and some agents. You can standardize your YAML templates, and then start to put basic visibility in place so that you can start to reuse these. So this is how you're going to move from experimentation to execution and actually get this into production.
All right, so get out those camera phones. We've now shown you how to go from 0 to working agent network in a very short time.
But more importantly, how to do it in a way that scales, is reusable, and is governed from the start.
So scan the QR code to get a full day one blueprint and resources.
So in this document, you'll get some resources for Agent Fabric so that you can learn a bit more about it. There's a deep dive from Salesforce architects, and then there's a blueprint that we actually put together that you can take away and start to follow on your own to build this yourself. And that's it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate your time. Go ahead and scan this QR code if you haven't already and download the app for the event. You can give us some session feedback as well as event feedback, and the first 700 people who give event feedback will get a $10 Starbucks gift card. In addition, there will be some session summaries available shortly in the app, probably over the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for those too if you missed anything or wanted to review. Thanks again for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and enjoy the concert.